President Trump calling it one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. The CIA playing a major role in rescue efforts using a deception campaign to lure away regime members who were hunting him down.
And now we know that while the crew member was being rescued, the U.S. unleashed an arsenal to protect the extraction point, including drones and D-1 bombers.
You are watching Fox and Friends First on this Monday morning. I'm Carly Shimkin.
And I'm Todd Pyro First. Trey Yinks joins us live from the Middle East with more on this daring mission. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. We start with breaking news. The head of the IRGC intelligence operation, Major General Majid Kadimi, has been killed. According to a senior Israeli official, a joint U.S. and Israeli strike overnight took out the man who was considered effectively the number 2 within the IRGC. He's one of the few senior commanders, I'm told, who managed to survive multiple waves of Israeli and American targeting over the past year. He oversaw intelligence operations that directly targeted U.S. forces and allies across the region. This comes as we are continuing to track developments and the possibility of a ceasefire deal between the United States and Iran. Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and he said if a deal does not happen this week, quote, you're going to see bridges and power plants dropping all over their country. If they don't make a deal and fast, I'm considering blowing everything up and taking.
Yeah, and this is like a very controversial statement that, well, President Trump made, because like I said, this would basically be war crimes because what constitutes a war crime is its effect on the civilian population. So if he's just out here saying he's going to be blowing up bridges and power plants is going to affect the civilian population, he's pretty much saying, look, I want us to commit war crimes to get this over with and to make you guys, well, pretty much bring you guys to your knees. And Iran is pretty much saying, well, if you do that, then we're just going to start attacking power plants and energy infrastructure throughout the region, and everybody's going to pay. So I'm not really sure if Trump is too committed to that, seeing that most likely is going to be the outcome, but let's see. Oh, guys, make sure you're double tapping that screen and liking the video.
Over the oil. Now, a new report today in Reuters says a framework to end hostilities has been put together by Pakistan and exchanged with Iran and the U.S. overnight, outlining a 2-tier approach with an immediate ceasefire followed by a comprehensive agreement. Despite these diplomatic conversations, U.S. and Israeli planes continue to hammer the Iranian regime as we are gathering new details about that daring rescue operation over the weekend that led that U.S. crew member to being rescued. Hundreds of U.S. Special Forces on the ground in southwestern Iran. You can see the province here where they were located. It was an hours-long operation, but again, ultimately it was successful as a result of U.S. military and intelligence excellence. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said overnight, I spoke earlier with President Trump and personally congratulated him on his bold decision and a perfectly executed American mission to rescue the downed pilot from enemy territory. The president expressed his appreciation for Israel's help. I am deeply proud that our cooperation on and off the battlefield is unprecedented and that Israel could contribute to saving a brave American warrior. As this is
what pretty much Israel did was pretty much stop firing off in that region to give America time to go in there and we'll pretty much get our pilot. And it was still a pretty risky mission. We was able to pull it off and nobody killed. We got some wounded, but nobody killed. So thank God. So shout out to us being able to get our pilot back. But the main criticism about this operation is not the success of it, but it's why we even had to do it when we've been claiming air superiority for about over a month and this happens. So let's see how this further progresses, because this whole air superiority claim is getting more and more doubtful by the day.
Is taking place. The Iranians are continuing their ballistic missile attacks against Israel. A number of ballistic missiles were launched overnight towards central Israel. You can see aftermath video here in the northern part of the country. This is the city of Haifa. And at this scene of a direct impact from a ballistic missile, there are still 2 people missing. 2 were killed in this strike, and 2 again are believed to be buried under the rubble. So a lot of kinetic activity across the region, and the United States is preparing for the possibility, if a deal is not reached, that there will be significant escalation here in the region, and President Trump has promised to target Iranian power and energy infrastructure. Yeah. Guys,
all of this always an option on the table. But Trey, the breaking news that you just reported about this high-ranking Iranian official that was killed in the joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike, how could his death impact these potential negotiations to end this war that are ongoing right now?
I mean, well,
Yeah, so Major General Majid Kadimi was the man responsible.
Yeah, Majid Kadimi. Yeah, it's pretty much the IRGC's intelligence chief who was pretty much killed in the airstrikes that they're talking about today in Tehran. And this is actually a pretty good win for us because taking out their intelligence chief means that the intel that he had that only him and a group I was sorry guys, but pretty much intel that he had that a select few people also had is pretty much now gone. And it pretty much scrambles their intelligence when it comes to their head guy being taken out. So I'm not really sure how this affects their mosaic offense, where they're able to just go down the ladder and disappoint the next guy. But this is still a big win when it comes to cutting off the intelligence that Iran is getting. And we all know that Iran is getting intelligence from Russia, China, mainly on coordinates and all that good stuff, and possibly even weapons, because now they got Chinese shoulder missiles out there on the field, and that's what hit the jet.
For building the intelligence behind the current Iranian operations that are targeting U.S. forces and allies across the region. This includes Gulf countries. And so the fact that he was taken out, he is considered to be the #2 person in the IRGC right now. And I'm told that there was actually another official taken out as well in that same strike. And that official is the commander of the Quds Forces Special Operations Unit, Ashgar Bakiri. And again, this gives you a sense of how the Israelis and the Americans are working together with their intelligence agencies to try and target individuals within the IRGC who are responsible for the ongoing attacks, again, to put pressure on the Iranian regime so that they come to the negotiating table and make a good faith deal.
You just wonder how many more of these individuals need to be killed before Iran realizes that these people cannot be replaced? Or does that beg the question, is everybody so replaceable in the IRGC and throughout the Iranian regime, Trey, that they can just keep this up?
I mean, it is a 1,000,000-man army. So understanding that it is a 1,000,000-man army, maybe a little bit less now. But yeah, they got other people to go through. And I'm pretty sure like I said, they set this stuff up before the war. They've already set up a chain of command to where, all right, if this guy goes, next guy's up, next guy's up. So they have a continuous way to always respond back through intelligence or through missiles or drones or however, or whatever leadership we're taking out at that time. I mean, even with Khomeini, as you've seen, Khomeini. As you've seen, we took him out and now his son's in power. The guy that was basically their Secretary of Defense, we took him out and now they got another IRGC. Now they got an IRGC commander in charge of that. So we're taking these guys out, but they're being quickly replaced within like a week or so. So, I mean, he has a good point. How long can they keep doing this? And they're showing us, well, we've been doing it for a month. So to be continued. Oh, God, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video. Let's get more people on the conversation about double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support.
And, in perpetuity.
The Iranians have what is considered a mosaic defense. So they have prepared for this possibility that their top officials would be targeted. And I'm told that the intelligence chief, there were attempts to target him in the past, and he was relocating and moving different locations in an effort to get away from these strikes and these targeting attempts. The bottom line here is that the Iranians have the ability to fill the shoes of these officials. But as you go down the pecking order, these officials have less and less experience, and it makes it more difficult for the Iranians to continue the fight. We know they still have missiles and drones that they will use to target Gulf countries and U.S. forces around the region, also including Israel, the country. But when you step back here and you look at what's taking place, this is a systematic effort by the United States and Israel to go after the Iranian leadership structure, to decimate the military regime, and go after not only the launching positions of the ballistic missiles and the drones, but also the production lines of these facilities so that they're not able to make more weapons that can be used against U.S. forces or allies across the Middle East.
Well, the #2 person in the IRGC killed is big news. So, Trey, we thank you so much for bringing it to us. Trey Young's live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you. Let's bring in former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. And Alex, of course, major news is, of course, this rescue mission to get the airman who was on Iranian soil for 30 hours out safely. And that happened over the weekend. Have you ever heard of a rescue mission like this taking place?
No, Carly. I mean, it really is the most extraordinary feat of American arms from a search and rescue and special operations perspective, probably since World War II. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. And I really just go back to the contrast between the last time we tried to do a major special operations search and rescue mission involving Iran, and that was 1980. That was the famous Desert One debacle under Jimmy Carter, when American special operators were killed when their helicopters crashed in the desert. And it goes back to the fact that leadership and resources matter. President Trump has made extraordinarily difficult decisions.
But all right, guys, let's see what they're saying on the left side of media here with CNN. Oh, guys, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen or smashing the like button, depending on how you're watching. All right, let's get right back into it.
Well, Ben, we're getting a lot of reaction from Iranian officials to that.
Paula, what's the reaction to President Trump's newest demands to Iran? What can you tell us?
Well, Ben, we're getting a lot of reaction from Iranian officials to that social media post threatening to target power plants and bridges with the expletives as well. Now, we've heard from the Parliament Speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. He's really emerging as a very powerful voice in Tehran at this point, and he's accused Trump of pushing the US towards a living hell and warned that the region could burn. The Iranians have been saying that they will target in kind if there is civilian infrastructure targeted in Iran, in the Gulf region, and in areas where the US has interests. Now, we've also seen fairly tongue-in-cheek reaction from some of the Iranian embassies around the world to that outburst in that social media post. We've heard from the Iranian embassy in India saying swearing and throwing insults are how a sore loser brat behaves. Get a grip on yourself, old man. Now, there's also been criticism within the US. Chuck Schumer, for example, the Senate Minority Leader, calling Trump an unhinged madman from that expletive-laden social media post. We also had a response from the Foreign Ministry spokesperson. Let's listen to what he said.
Iran's reaction would be one of reciprocating any such attack. Our armed forces have made it clear that in case Iran's...
Oh, yeah, and if you haven't heard it already, I guess I'll go ahead and read it out to you. But Trump did make a pretty controversial statement on Truth Social, or a controversial post. So let's see. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. And just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump, which is wild for him to say that. Like, okay, praise be to Allah is wild. But man, this is how this man's coming right now.
Infrastructure is attacked, we would react in kind. They would, our armed forces.
So, like I said, if Trump starts attacking energy infrastructure in Iran, they'll start attacking energy infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Israel. I mean, it's going to be a complete blackout throughout the Middle East. Oh, and God forbid it attack the water desalination centers. Now we're going to have the entire Middle East and parts of Africa fighting over food and water. I mean, who want to see that?
Would target any similar infrastructure that is owned or in any way or manner related to the United States, or contributes to their act of aggression against Iran. Threatening to attack a country's critical infrastructure, energy sector, it would mean that you want to put at risk the whole population. And this is nothing less than war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Now, what we're seeing in Iran overnight, and then this Monday.
And I know my guys over there, MAGA's going like, well, no, how could you claim that the president wants to commit war crimes? And then there's somebody who just don't give a damn, who just says, well, war crimes and international laws for the weak. There's people who actually have that argument, sadly. But for those of you who says, how can you sit there and say that the president's going to commit war crimes? Well, yeah, if you blow up a bridge that's mainly used by civilians, it's a war crime. You blow up a power plant that's going to cause blackouts for mainly civilians, that's going to be a war crime. So I'm sorry. But yeah, Donald Trump threatening that was him pretty much threatening to commit war crimes against Iran, which is wild, by the way. I'm being look. I'll tell you this. Look, Obama did it. Obama did it too. But at least the man ain't post about it, or at least he ain't tell us he was gonna do it.
Monday morning with airstrikes from the US and Israel. From state media, we are seeing in Baharistan County, this is just southwest of the capital, a densely populated area. We see a number of residential buildings that appear to have been hit there. According to FAR's news agency, they say some 13 have been killed. Then in the eastern part of Tehran, 4 killed in another residential area. Now, CNN cannot independently confirm these figures, but we are also seeing loss of life in Israel and elsewhere.
First of all, there are supposed to be some sort of diplomatic talks going on. Pakistan is leading them. I can't imagine they're going well if we're back to threats online.
Yeah, Pakistan is essentially acting as a shuttle for messages between the two. But look, the two sides are so far apart. And from Iran's perspective, why not wait for President Trump to crash into one of his own deadlines once again or move it onward? Iran wins at home. Public opinion is shifting against Trump and his war. And they win in the international community.
Yeah, though it's hard to know what's going on in Iran given their crackdown, right, as the regime tries to take hold. But to your point of them digging in, when I look at the responses from Iranian embassies from around the world, because this is all being done by social media. The one in South Africa says, seriously, think about the 25th Amendment, Section 4. In Bulgaria, didn't know they had an Iranian embassy. Take it easy, Tiger. In Austria, saying he, quote, stooped to an unprecedented level of begging, laced with bitter, hollow rudeness and threats. The desperation is almost palpable. Sarah, can I come to you? Because they are speaking Trump's language in that they're doing it online. They're doing it in a very sort of memeable way. Can you talk about this response?
Yeah, well, one thing that's interesting always.
I mean, bro, they already dropped the Lego video. I mean, bro, already they have a new Lego video out. And if you want me to play it, shoot, I don't know, super chat in and I'll go ahead and play it. But make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
I'm thinking about the audience. So when you have Donald Trump, who has millions of followers on X and is a big global personality, I think there's a lot of visibility in terms of what his message is, where his message is reaching. I don't think anyone in America knows that those embassies are tweeting at us.
Yeah,
right
nobody's laying in bed being like, what's Bulgaria saying?
No
Sorry,
clue. So
Bulgaria.
Those threats sort of fall on deaf ears with the American public. What Senator Kaine was saying over the weekend is that when Donald Trump makes these types of threats, that doesn't fall on deaf ears. Even with the internet blackouts in Iran, when Donald Trump is saying something like that, the people in Iran are listening. And that matters because when you have a fighter who is being, crashing down in the mountains of Iran, sometimes you need the response of the people to make a decision.
I mean, it is wild, bro. Went from I'm gonna be the savior of the Iranian people and release them from the terrible Islamic regime to I'm about to commit war crimes on all y'all, each and every one. Open the Strait of Hormuz right to F now, or war crimes on everybody. It's just like, damn. Hold on, dog. I thought we were supposed to be their savior. What happened to that? But I told you that was never true. It was never about them, even though that's what they wanted you to believe. But hey, some of y'all fell for it, some of y'all didn't.
React. Are they going to turn him in or are they not? And so I don't think that this is the exact same thing. When Donald Trump says something, it's a pretty big effing deal in his words.
Yeah.
When these embassies say something, I don't think that they have as much impact, even though they're trying to match that tone.
At one point, the president says, praise be to Allah. This is how Stephen A. Smith talked about it.
You go on social media with a profanity-laced tirade, and then you're going to end it by saying, praise be to Allah. How do you think that's going to help us? How do you think that's going to help us throughout the world?
Literally.
I mean, seriously.
One more for you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has taken up a new religion, sort of anti-Trump at this point. She also was commenting because there's been a lot of conversation about how the Pentagon uses religious language.
Yes.
Anyway, so she was commenting. She says, everyone in his administration that claims to be Christian needs to fall on their knees and beg forgiveness from God and stop worshiping the president and intervene in Trump's madness. And then she says what we've heard a lot. This is not what we promised the American people when they overwhelmingly voted in 2024.
No, they did not.
Can you talk about either
the messenger.
No, and that's what's killing me though. A lot of people are trying to gaslight us and say, "Oh no, Trump's always just said he wanted to go to war with Iran." Man, I'm like, bro, shut your dumb ass up. I'm sorry, but a lot of people like remember this. This is what we remember. I don't know what y'all talking about.
And they will never fight themselves. You know, war hawks. They want to draft your kids to die in wars, and they will never fight themselves. You know, we'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, you know, the wars that never end. These endless wars that we've been in, I've gotten us out of so many. We don't want to get into wars. We're tired of fighting. I'm the only president in the last 84 years that didn't start a war. Under Trump, we will have no more wars. No more wars. No more wars. We will have prosperity and peace. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Remember, I'm the president of peace. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. He's going to start a war. I said, no.
Yeah, remember?
My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars. And that's what happened. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
Y'all remember that? Yeah, y'all remember that, Trump? You remember when he was saying all that during his campaign? Then once he goes to war, we got a good amount of MAGA just going like, well, he always wants to go to war with Iran. What are you guys talking about? Like, please, don't gaslight us. Come on now. Just admit that you guys were always pro-war and you've been hiding behind MAGA, and then to, go ahead and show y'all fiendish face. Y'all pro-war fiendish face. Y'all been hiding behind the anti-war populist movement, and now here you guys are. Y'all took over. Shout out to Laura Loomer and Mark Levin. We're cooked. But we tried. All right, but make sure it got buys. Make sure to double tap that screen, like the video. Let's make sure we're getting those likes up, and also smash the like button, depending on how you're watching. I'm talking mainly to the guys on the vertical live when I'm talking about double tapping.
Yours here or the message?
Well, peace does not seem to be at hand in Iran, I'd say that. And the events over the weekend just seems to embolden both sides to stick it out and see what happens next. We're not getting closer to a negotiated settlement. We're getting farther away from them. The rescue of the airmen, for which we were all grateful, was a demonstration to Trump about we can do whatever we want militarily and succeed, but at a great cost. And from Iran's point of view, that is a cost worth forcing the United States to pay again.
One of the things I'm noticing now is Trump is talking about power infrastructure, going against that. And then I want to play one more thing for you. This is from some Israeli officials who are also talking about threatening infrastructure. It's Israel Katz, who's the defense minister.
The terrorist regime in Iran continues to launch missiles at the Israeli home front, killing and harming Israeli civilians. If they continue firing at civilians in Israel, we will strike and destroy Iran's national infrastructure. We have severely damaged the steel infrastructure and the petrochemical industry. And today and every day, there will be more to come.
Before, there was a sense that the U.S. and Israel wanted to preserve something of Iran's infrastructure. Do I have that right?
Absolutely.
Is that shifting?
Absolutely. But I think we see it to the points that we've been making here in a reckless way, in a way that's not really thinking strategically about what are going to be the ramifications of doing this. I was with a former NSC official over the weekend, and they were explaining that.
I'm be real with you. It's such a bad idea. I really don't think Trump is going to do it. Like, I don't know. I don't want to hop on the whole taco Trump train, but trust me, I'm not. But it's just not a good idea. And the blowback from it is just not worth it. Like, I'm really thinking here going like, bro, what would be the point of you doing this? Like, well, are you trying to throw the Middle East into turmoil? If that's the plan, then okay, you're doing a great job. But if that's not the plan, then what are you doing? For all you know, that might just be his plan. You never know.
Sometimes you choose not to strike certain targets because it's just not worth it. One, it might be a war crime. And in these cases, I think this is a very legitimate question to be having about what kind of information is Pete Hegseth getting about what targets they're choosing and what the legal, not just the legal ramifications could be, but the national security and the military ramifications. And I've spoken to so many officials who say infrastructure like this for the whole population, when you are going to be turning off incubators for babies and things like that, that is a much, much more serious
question to have, and that should be a topic of discussion with expertise. I think we're also seeing in this war kind of the death of expertise. Where are the experts who are coming in and saying this may not be legal or this may not be the right thing? I don't think those people are getting.
And with that
any
initial
input.
strike that landed on a school,
Honestly, don't sound like anybody's telling Trump to, yo, pump the brakes, bro. Pump the brakes. If you commit to this, first off, I mean, war crimes, and then this war is already unpopular, so you might lose the midterms. And if you lose the House and the Senate, not only will you most likely be impeached, but they are going to try to take you to jail. They're going to try to press charges on you. You know they are. So why risk it like this for just to be abandoned in the end? Because look, bro, the pro-Israel crowd ain't gonna stick up for you when them charges come, nor when the impeachment comes. So what is he doing?
there was like, oh, what's okay, maybe it's an early start. Now we're deep in. And you have even people like Ann Coulter saying online, I really wish legal experts hadn't screamed bloody murder about every little thing Trump did so they could with authority now that he's actually committing war crimes.
Yeah, Hegseth saying that see no quarter towards.
Are you serious? Really? So they could actually speak with authority now that he's actually committing war crimes. I'm done. All right, Ann Coulter. All right.
The forces, and also now talking about, there are international criminal court judgments against Russia for doing this in Ukraine. You can militarily, under the Geneva Conventions, hit some parts of the power grid if they're purely for military purposes.
Right.
But if you do it on an extended basis and you add in things like desalination plants, which is what Trump is threatening to do.
And low-key, there's no way you can constitute that as just a military target. A water desalination plant, like, bro, all the citizens in Iran are using that. You're pretty much telling them, well, F your drinking water, F the bathing water. Y'all just gonna have to suffer. And yeah, bro, that's a war crime. I'm gonna be real with you. That is just not a good look on the world stage. And then there's some people ignorant enough to sit there and say, we're America, we're too strong, we don't have to obey now international law or war crimes. I'm sorry, but what makes us any better than our enemy at that point? Or we're just as lawless as you claim the Iranians are.
Posted a Truth Social saying Tuesday. So the president posted a Truth Social saying Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, appearing to refer to his previous post where he threatened Iran's power plants and bridges if they do not open the Strait of Hormuz by Tuesday. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford says the president is urging Iran to take that diplomatic off-ramp.
What he is telling people is that I want to give them a diplomatic out. He's trying to give them every opportunity to make the right choice, do the right thing. And I think that window is going to be open for a little while longer, but after that, it's going to close decisively and the president will take action.
President Trump told Fox News' Trey Yingst that negotiations are currently underway, and he believes there's a good chance a deal could be reached by tomorrow. However, Trump warned that failure to comply could result in the U.S. seizing Iran's oil. Iran's parliament speaker responded to the threats, claiming the U.S. will gain nothing from what he termed, quote, war crimes, and saying the only solution is for the U.S. to end this, quote, dangerous game. President Trump will deliver a press conference tomorrow where he will also likely discuss the successful rescue of the F-15E crew member who was shot down over Iran on Friday. But joining us now is Ambassador Mike Froman, former U.S. Trade Representative and current president of the Council on Foreign Relations. Ambassador Froman, first of all, happy Easter. Thank you for taking the time with us. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So we've seen the Truth Social posts today. The left is not happy about them, but President Trump issuing a very stark and very colorful warning.
All right, guys, the attacks have already started. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Crap. Let's get right into it here.
All right, we'll begin with breaking news. There are reports of an attack on Iran's South Pars petrochemical facility. This, as Iran says negotiations are incompatible with threats as the US and Iran step up their attacks on Iran. Let's now go straight to Tawhid Asadi, who's live for us in Iran's capital. So what do we know about this attack on the South Pars facility?
Obviously, this is going to be a major development, and this is just the initial report that came in.
Hey, shout out to my man. He's Joyner. Noah Joyner. Hey, that is you. He says, good morning, Set. Here's for the Lego video. And shout out to my man Joyner coming in from Rumble with a Rumble rant. Appreciate the support, my man. And I got you. We're going to go ahead and get through this quick little breaking news because there has been an attack on one of Iran's petrochemical petrochemical facilities. So let's get right into that because crap.
Let's now go straight to Tawhid Asadi, who's live for us in Iran's capital. So what do we know about this attack on the South Pass facility?
Obviously, this is going to be a major development, and this is just the initial report that came in from Fars news agency affiliated with or with close relations with IRGC. They came out with this very breaking news to say that the enemy attacked the South Pars petrochemical complex in the city of Asaluye, and also they're saying that a few minutes ago several explosions were heard from South Pass petrochemical complex in that city, and also they're saying that additional information details are going to be published very soon. That is the only thing so far we have, but contextually speaking, we know that we're talking about one of the very, very important energy facilities of the country, and also that comes within the context of the threats by the US president regarding a deadline in which there is a potentiality for further escalation for the infrastructure, including oil and energy infrastructures of the country, to be targeted. And that's obviously part and parcel of the sustained airstrikes that we have been witnessing. Another major blow that Iran faced very recently was actually the announcement that we heard from IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards, about the killing of the head of intelligence organization of IRGC, Majid Khademi, in the series of airstrikes that took place last night in the eastern, western, and southern areas of the Iranian capital. And added to that, we also know that we are dealing with this continued airstrikes across the country in different cities such as Karaj, Shiraz, and in Isfahan. And I would say there is a long list such as Bandar Lengez, Qom, Baharistan, Shahryar. In some of these cases, we have fatalities, and these airstrikes are going on while Iran is talking about retaliatory strikes, in very particular talking about this energy complex that is said to be targeted. Previously, we heard from the spokesperson of the Khatamul Anbiya military headquarters to talk about retaliatory strikes. They said that if the attacks on the civilian units of the country continue, this time there is going to be a widespread retaliation down the road, and they're talking about more devastating waves of their retaliation targeting the USSS across the region or other infrastructures supporting the USSS or US military bases across the region, as well as the Israel.
And that has already started. Iran says it struck a US force on Kuwait's Baba'an Island. Let's get into this.
Of escalation in Iran. Now, the threat of escalation in Iran has put the Gulf region directly in the line of fire. Iran's army says that US forces located on Kuwait's Baba'an Island were targeted. Health authorities in Kuwait also report that 6 people.
Oh, guys, make sure you guys are double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and super chat that in. I'll be a great way to support the show and keep it engaging. But all right, guys, let's get right to it. And don't forget to like that video or double tap that screen.
People have been injured after debris from a missile landed in a residential area. And for more on that, let's go to Kuwait City, where Malik Trainer is live for us. Well, you've been monitoring those developments across the Gulf now. What do we know exactly as to what's happened there?
Well, as you mentioned, we saw from the Khatam al-Anbiya spokesperson saying that they targeted American forces in the Baba'an Island here in Kuwait. What we've seen throughout this conflict is if and when American bases are hit, we usually don't hear something from the host countries. This, just a few weeks ago, we heard in Saudi Arabia when the Air Sultan Air Base was hit and 15 people were injured. Confirmation came later from the Americans themselves. So I don't think we'll hear anything from the Kuwaitis as to that. But we've seen a range of attacks across the Gulf. 6 people injured, as you mentioned, in the northern Kuwait due to debris from an interception in a residential area. In the UAE, we've seen attacks in Abu Dhabi, an industrial city, where one person, a Ghanaian national, was injured. Another attack in the Fujairah area, where authorities responded to an incident at a telecommunications company. And we've seen also in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they're serious about attacking our tech companies in the Middle Eastern region. Like, they're not playing.
Where the Ministry of Defense said it intercepted 2 drones. So, as this war continues, there has been no letting up of these retaliation attacks across the Gulf.
And
so, yeah, they've already responded, and I mean, they already said they were going to attack our tech companies, and it looks like we've started this escalation ladder now by attacking one of their main petrochemical complexes. I mean, let's see how this works out.
Territories.
Okay, thank you very much, Tawhid Asadi. That's the latest breaking news coming out of Iran. And here in the studio, Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javid joins us live. So this South Pars facility that's been hit, this isn't the first time, but this perhaps is just a section of it. But the gas field is shared with Qatar as well, isn't it?
Well, it is one of the world's largest gas facilities. It's shared with Qatar and Iran. South Pars on the Iranian side and the North Field here in Qatar. And as you mentioned, this is the second time that we're hearing of attacks near South Pars. It's not yet clear what's the detail of how big this attack is, what it has targeted, and how will it affect any supplies. It is not just one of the largest producers of gas in the world. You have to remember that Iran is the world's 4th largest consumer of LNG. South Pars is essentially the lifeline for electricity and industrial production and everything else in Iran as well. So it is of huge importance, not just to Iran, but to the entire region as well. And we've been hearing the Iranians, as soon as anything that has been mentioned about their energy facilities, their oil infrastructure, they've said that they will retaliate, and they will retaliate in huge fashion. You remember that when their energy facilities, oil facilities, Harg Island were hit, in retaliation, they hit multiple refineries across the region in the UAE, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, and even the Ras Laffan gas field here in Qatar as well. So we'll have to wait and see on what this is, but it appears that this is a serious and significant development in the escalation ladder, because if the idea was to bring tensions down, to open the Strait of Hormuz, to bring Iran to the table, this kind of attack needs to be avoided rather than repeated.
And also because, if you said this triangle of the US, but you also have Qatar with part ownership of that South Pars field. So we'll wait and see what the extent of the damage is. All of this just before Trump's deadline, which is less than 24 hours away from now. At the same time, you've been speaking to Pakistani officials. What have they been telling you? Because so far, Pakistan has almost become the default mediator in this war.
Absolutely. So in the last few weeks, it is just Pakistan, which is essentially taking the messages from the Americans to the Iranians and vice versa. As you heard from the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman, the American plan of 15 points that was rejected, they're still trying to push their line forward, that they need reparations. They don't want to talk about their ballistic missiles program. They're okay to talk about nuclear enrichment as well as giving up or diluting some of the enriched uranium that they have in the country. But all of that, as you heard from the Iranians, cannot happen under the threat of violence, as they're continuing to field attacks on their leadership, on their towns, on their cities, on their institutions. They cannot, in good faith, enter into negotiations. And that's where the Pakistanis are, that they're taking those messages to them. They're finding it.
Yeah, and that's what all they're doing. That's what I'm saying. It's indirect negotiations. Pretty much, they're just sending back each other's demands and seeing what's reasonable, or what's each side considers reasonable. And of course, Iran sticks at her point. Look, we want to talk about our nuclear capabilities, but we're not talking about our ballistic missiles. We're not talking about our proxies. But we'll come to the table over our nuclear capabilities and, diluting our uranium and all that good stuff. But what we're not going to do is limit our ballistic missiles, so we basically can't defend ourselves. And we're also not going to start engaging our proxies because, well, sadly, they actually believe in the cause of Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. I mean, they truly believe in it. So I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of like a moral quandary right there.
Hard to get the message across because the top tier leadership.
But let me go ahead and get out. Let me go ahead and get over here to my man Noah's video. Shout out to my man Noah. Remember. Look, I ain't want to play. This is Noah's idea.
Yeah. Power plant day. Rich day. You scared of the pictures? Power plant day. Rich day. Open the fucking straight or you'll be living in hell. Censor the satellites. How what we did to your bases. You're losing your mind and then you're losing this war. Face it. You tweet like a madman, threatening power plants and bridges. Praise be to Allah. You sound unhinged, you bitch. You want us living in hell, but you're the one scared of the sky. Begging every satellite company to hide what we did to your guys. 17 bases hit, C-130 and Black Hawks gone. On a million wasted just to save one pawn. Now you're blocking the photo so the world doesn't see how bad little Iran fucked up your military. Power plant day, bridge day. Open the fucking straight or you'll be living in hell. Censor the satellites, how what we did to your bases. You're losing your mind, then you're losing this war. Face it. Sacred defense. We still standing. You censoring the sky.
These guys love this AI video Lego stuff. They just been sticking to it. But all right, though, let's get right back into it, guys. Let's make sure double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way, for you being here. But let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and getting more people engaged and getting more people in, spreading the word. All right, let's get right into it.
Here's my take. Well into the second month of the US-Israeli war, it is worth taking stock of where things stand. Here's what things look like in Iran and its neighborhood before the war began in late February. In June 2025, Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities had been, in President Trump's words, completely and totally obliterated by a 12-day bombing campaign by US and Israeli forces using American stealth bombers and 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs. The head of Israel's defense forces agreed with Trump, saying, "We have set Iran's nuclear project back by years, and the same goes for its missile program." That conclusion was reiterated by Israel's Atomic Energy Commission, which added that the achievement can continue indefinitely as long as Iran did not get access to nuclear materials, and that access was actively being denied. Iran's military capabilities had been substantially weakened by separate Israeli air campaigns in 2024, which killed key Revolutionary Guard leaders, destroyed air defenses, and struck ballistic missile facilities. Israel also heavily bombed Iran's most deadly militia ally, Hezbollah, killing several layers of its top leadership and, by many analyses, crippling the military strength of the organization. It had already taken apart Hamas in Gaza. Finally, Israel's campaign against the Iran-backed militias that supported the Syrian government played a part in the collapse of that regime in December 2024. In other words, Iran was in very bad shape militarily. In addition, its economy was a mess, destroyed by the tightening of sanctions and its own corrupt regime. Hardly anyone could argue that Iran posed a threat to its neighbors, let alone to the United States, which sits roughly 6,000 miles away. Donald Trump effectively admitted this on Wednesday.
We don't have to be there, but we're there to help our allies.
It's worth noting that none of America's European or Asian allies were consulted, and many have spoken out against the war.
True.
In fact, reports suggest that Prime Minister...
Actually, what was it? All of our allies actually pretty upset that we didn't inform them that we were going to do this so they can brace themselves or at least try to talk us out of it. No, we just did it. We made a mess, and now we're over here asking NATO, going like, well, I mean, why don't you guys clean it up? This affects mostly you guys. And I mean, like, here's the thing. I know we've always had this gripe against NATO because they, they don't pull their, they don't pull their fair weight. But to try to drag them into a conflict is just distasteful. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just not good. We could have just separated from them on the guidelines of you guys aren't carrying your weight when it comes to your military spending, so we're out. We could have did it like that, and we'd have been fully justified. Trying to do it under these grounds is just not it. Like, it just looks bad.
Mr. Bibi Netanyahu sold Trump on this war, not because Iran was an imminent threat, but because its unprecedented weakness provided an opportunity to strike hard to effect regime change. Why else would Trump have closed his brief announcement at the start of the war by urging the Iranian people to rise up and overthrow the regime, a call echoed by Netanyahu in his own message? So far, aside from devastating Iran and crippling its already weak military, which was predictable in such a one-sided contest, few of the desired results have been achieved. The regime has not fallen. Key leaders have changed for the worse. The 86-year-old Ayatollah Khamenei, who famously banned the development of nuclear weapons, was killed and replaced by his son, who is said to be more hardline than his father.
AKA he disagreed with the fatwa or the religious ruling against, nuclear weapons. And a lot of people did. They didn't really like the fact that Khomeini made that law. They followed it because he's the supreme leader, but they didn't like the law because, you got to understand, bro, they're aggressing against us. They're saying we are anyway, and they're treating us like we are, so we might as well make one. He's like, no, we're not, because this is sin against God. And this is what Khomeini believed. But now that he's out the picture, his son is in there. We're not sure if he's going to keep it. Well, we're not sure if he holds that same belief as his father did. He might just say, F it. I told my dad that, look, we should have had nukes a long time ago. He didn't listen. And now look where we're at. So we're going for nukes. And that is what we don't want. We would hate for that. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's go ahead and try to get those likes up by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Well, the Revolutionary Guards, who have always been more militant, seem to be ascendant, which makes sense in times of war. The Strait of Hormuz, which was free and open despite many threats through 47 years of US-Iran tensions, is now blocked by the new leadership, whom Trump terms much more reasonable. President Trump says that after a few more bombing runs, the strait will open naturally because Iran will want to export its own oil. This misreads the situation. The strait is not closed. It is open to Iranian oil, which is flowing freely, especially to China. The net result of the war is that Iran now makes about twice as much on its daily oil sales compared to before the conflict. In addition, if it continues...
they're getting paid like $2 million as an entry fee, and then they're also getting their oil bought in Chinese yuan. So now, they're making more money, and they're trying to de-dollarize, the Middle East in a way, by getting all of their oil all their oil sales not done in dollars but in the Chinese yuan.
Continues to charge a reported $2 million per passing ship, Tehran will make hundreds of millions of dollars in additional revenue every month, enough to rebuild its military and more. America's Gulf allies now face a far more unstable and tense environment than they did before the war. Their business models require peace, stability, and economic integration. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had mended ties with Iran in 2023 because he wanted to calm geopolitical waters to pursue his ambitious program of modernization. Today, all that progress is in jeopardy as oil exports are crippled and the region has gone from having a path to be an oasis of stability rather than a cauldron of conflict. The obvious winner is Russia, which will make billions of extra dollars every month as the price of oil rises and America waves sanctions against it. Ukraine loses as weapons it needs are diverted to the Middle East. Europe loses as it faces crushing energy costs, and Trump demands that NATO fight his war and threatens to pull out of the organization if it doesn't.
Not a good
It's
look.
worth noting that NATO is a defensive alliance and did not fight in the wars in Korea, Vietnam, or Iraq. China gains as America gets mired in another Middle Eastern conflict and loses its focus on Asia. Meanwhile, Beijing's massive...
So guys, we got about good 25 of y'all in here, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in a conversation by double tapping that screen. We got about 25. Let's get to 15.
Investments in green technology shielded from many of the costs of this war, and it appears to the world as a more responsible, less disruptive superpower. Of course, things could change. Wars are unpredictable. But so far, has any American military action ever racked up so many costs for so few gains? I'm joined by Richard Haas, the President Emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations.
Well, you know, if you listen to the right wing, they're going to, or Fox News, they're going to hit us with the, it's short-term pain for long-term gain. And I mean, bro, that's what everybody's gonna hit y'all with. Well, please tell me what we're gaining, or we're still doing the pain thing. Because right now, all we're really feeling is the pain of it. Now we do have military success, but that's not enough to bring down gas prices. And you bombing oil